Welcome to the third episode of OG Talks. This table is a lot smaller, but a lot more closer to my heart. I have two of my closest friends, and they're here not just because they're my friends, because they're two badass women who have absolutely killed it in their career. The three of us having a very candid conversation. We thought, why not just put this out on a podcast and see how that works, because we feel like a lot more women will resonate. So we have with us Aishni. Aishni is a practicing lawyer. And we have Shifa with us. Shifa works for an MNC and she heads people relations.
I actually do this, guys. She's just struggling.
Yeah, because I have been asked to be very, yes. So I'm searching for the right words, trying to be politically correct. Working in the 30s looks like. All three of us have been working for the last decade or more now. And when we started off, I remember all of us were all very excited about the hustle. I think we proudly proclaimed the number of hours we would work and, try to one up the other. Cut to a decade later, the conversations are a lot more quieter. The hustle is now all about slowing down, and the hard work is all about smart work. We'll start with the rudest question of all. How old are we, guys? How old are you?
Are we saying mentally or actually?
You can give me both. You can say your mental age and your actual age both.
Okay, I don't mentally feel anything later than my late 20s, but I'm 34. And when Ria said I work in the corporate world now for about 14 years, so started when I just graduated. Feels like a lot more than a decade because corporate can do that to you, age you absolutely. So yeah, that's how old I am.
Wow. You're the youngest here.
Take pride in that. The youngest by just a few months, but I'm also 34. I still get ID'd at a lot of places.
Oh yeah, that's a massive flex in your 30s.
But I graduated from law school almost 10 years back, and I've been practicing since then. So it's been a while now.
It has. Okay, so I'm gonna just throw some questions. Let's talk about it. I feel like a lot of women will have similar opinions, and I genuinely invite all the women who are resonating with what we're going to be talking about to engage with us in the comments, because we're trying to build a community, or like a support community, or like just an open conversation community where people can, share their emotions, feelings, journeys, etc. So success in our 20s, I think, was defined very differently from how we define it now. How has it been for you? What was your idea of success? What did you see your 34-year-old self as?
I think just when you start off, there's always this impression of that if I make it to X designation, or if I've been in the profession for a certain number of years, that's where you know that, or at least you're given an impression that that's what making it would be. I think once you've been around for long enough, you realize that that's not what it is. With every passing year, I think the minute your responsibilities increase, you realize that it gets more and more challenging, and it's not half as easy as what people make it seem to be.
Absolutely. Very similar actually, not just designation. I think success for me in my 20s was like, I need X number money, like amount in my bank account. Yeah. I need to handle such a large team. I think when you're growing up, especially for me, seeing like boss women in your 30s, it was like, wow, they're handling such a large team, such a large geography area. This is how much they're earning. This is their designation. They're sitting on these boards. They're doing like all these amazing things. They're at work at 7 a.m. They're leaving to go home at 9 p.m. And I was like, okay, that's going to be me in my 30s. That's where I want to be at. I actually started my corporate journey when I was 23. And my first boss, I'll never forget, was in her mid 30s. And she was the youngest people management director that had ever existed in the corporate world. And seeing her like manage, she had a child who was like 5. And she would come in at 6 a.m., go to the gym down from 6 to 7, be at meetings because she would handle international calls from 7 a.m. And I don't think I ever left office before 7 or 8 without seeing her still at work. So that was like my target or go-to when I was in my 20s, to be like, I want to be that successful.
Do you really want to be that now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So if you ask me what's changed dramatically, I think working smarter. I actually don't want to be there for that long in office. I want to live my life. I want to travel. I want to chill with friends like these. I want to have these conversations on a Saturday evening. I want to enjoy my cup of coffee or tea while it's hot. And I really don't want to have like high cortisol levels constantly. I don't want to like sleep thinking about the next day's to-do list. And I think I realized this just recently last year, where I think we were trying to do one bowling/stand-up plan. And my friend texted me to say, it's been 18 months since we've been planning this. Because there was just always like a to-do list left. There was a meeting that came up. There was some call that came up. And I was like, I'm not here to spend 18 months of my life planning one plan. to not spend time. So definitely, like, definition of success is smarter. Not to say that you don't want to hustle. I still want that money coming in. I still want
And
to live a
it's
particular
not that
way.
you're not chasing the success.
Absolutely.
It's just the manner in which you're doing it. I think you're a lot more conscious of it now. So you still want it, but you just want it in a different manner.
Yeah.
And you want to make your own decisions to sort of get there, basically.
Do you guys think that I mean, we've all done the real hard hustle in our 20s.
We're still doing it.
We're still doing it. We're still doing it. It's, yeah, maybe 10% like ease on that. But I know we're still doing it. But do you think that crucial phase is really important? I'm asking because there are a lot of, the new generation that comes into work, and I know we complain a lot about them. But I also give them a lot of credit because this is a generation that does not glorify the hustle. We really romanticized it. And is it important? Like, does everyone need to go through that phase? Do you think it's important, or do you think it's fine for this generation to just skip it?
I don't think there's an option to entirely skip it. You have to look at it from a wider demographic where, say, in particular professions, I'll talk about mine in this case, clients are extremely demanding. And that is not going to change with the younger generation coming in. So not working hard is not going to be an option, basically. So you can't, and at the end of the day, when you're a client servicing in a client servicing industry, you have to cater to the client's needs. That's also something we didn't understand when we were a lot younger, but you do understand that when you're when you've been around long enough. And there are ways where you can try managing that, but there's no escaping that, basically. Also, I feel like to an extent, when you had a couple of years like that, I think it also disciplines you in a lot of ways where you kind of develop your own style of working, and everyone picks up a different style accordingly. And everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you kind of work around them. I think if everything is put on a platter and served to you in that manner, you'll never actually figure out, on how to
So the
get
hustle
where
is
you want.
important for character building.
Yes, to an extent.
Like, I am very much of the old school belief that there's no shortcut. I was a consultant when I started off. I was traveling to tier 2, tier 3 cities. And in India, unlike other consultant firms across the world, you're not flown back home every weekend. So I was there for months in places where women's security was an issue, bathrooms were an issue. And I was like, why am I doing that? But I remember that in my early 20s, and it's made me who I am in terms of agility today, resilience today. You'll never realize the value of that hustle till you reach a certain point later in your career. And I will say, I think for Gen Z, I think the value of balance is really important. Living your life is really important. Freedom is really important. But if you don't work hard for it, you'll never value it. If it came easy to me, like Aishni said, like if it was on a platter to me to say, oh, please come back home when you want. Please work only 7 or 6 hours a day. And some things will come easy to you. Like that's why you are in the profession you are in. Like people management comes easy to me. Something about that core is your calling, which is why you do it. But if you don't hustle, at least in the beginning, I think you also then don't value the career that you have. And like Ashni said, like in India, there's a lot of talent that's available, and you're very easily replaced in the corporate world for sure. So what is it that you bring to the table? Everyone is smart after a point. Everyone has certain strengths. Why am I working harder than the other person? What is it that I bring to the table? It's also working smarter. I don't have to put in the hustle doesn't mean I'm not sleeping, but hustle does mean that I'm bringing something to the table that they cannot replace me with tomorrow.
Or you're at least working towards that. Basically.
Exactly, or you're upskilling yourself or whatever. There has to be one thing about you that someone else doesn't have, that they've invested in you. And it is a rat race. I mean, if you want to get to the top, there's one position at the top and there's a gazillion of you at the bottom, right?
I also think it's important to keep you grounded to a certain extent because I feel like once you've gone through a certain amount of grunt, you actually value what you have. And it's very important to stay grounded the older you get, the more senior you get. Because then there's a lot of others who kind of, success gets to their head or whatever and all. So, when it's given too easily to you, you don't appreciate it enough, basically. So, I think once you've gone through a certain amount of grunt work, you do tend to appreciate everything else a lot more. And like Shifa said, that we're all fortunate enough that we come from privileged backgrounds where it's not basically that this is not essentially your bread and butter.
Like food on the table.
Yeah. But it's a choice that you've made.
That's what really makes me wonder that it's not a necessity. It's not a survival that we're doing this for. We are doing this because we're choosing to do this. So there's clearly something more that's driving us to do this. A lot of people don't have that privilege. They don't have that choice. So they're doing it because there is no other way out of it. For women who are doing it out of a choice, what are we really seeking? I don't know. I ask myself this all the time. What is it that feels empty, or what is that emotion that you're chasing that makes you want to wake up every morning and do this over and over again?
I think a large part of what drives you, or at least I would talk about myself in this case, is one, going to work or doing something is one, wanting to be successful. It's secondly also keeping yourself productively occupied and I mean, it's to each their own. Everyone makes their own choices.
Yeah.
But these are some of the things that you kind of, at least this is what I aspire for myself.
Yeah.
And different things work for different
Yeah.
people in the larger scale of things. But
I would probably say I've come from a family where women have been role models for me growing up. So my grandmom was a cancer survivor herself in the NGO sector. At a time, she was the first person who graduated from college in Bombay back in the 1960s, 50s. My mom's a doctor, worked in the NGO space. So I've always been brought up by women, working women, who didn't have to do it but wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I also think that as much as we'd like to say we're part of a new India, it's the 21st century, all of that, a woman who has her own financial capacity or independence, it changes you completely as a woman, whether it's
Yeah.
you dependent
That's
on
my
financial
Yeah.
independence is
Is
very,
the
very
most
important.
yeah.
And I think
mean,
it changes you in a lot of ways that people don't realize otherwise.
Yeah.
and just to say also, like, I think whether it's your husband, whether it's your father, whether it's your brother, whether it's whatever, even if you're dependent on another woman in your life, it's just, I don't think you want to feel that helpless, at least in your 30s, to say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to buy something, I want to go out, I want to go for a holiday, I want to buy something. I don't want to pick up the phone and have to ask
Yeah.
anyone. And I think that's
And the difference is
definitely a
also once
motivator.
you've had financial independence, if you had to reverse the situation.
Yeah.
I've also spoken to a lot of other women and all. It's also something very hard to cope with at
Yeah.
that point. So
Yeah.
that also lands up being a driving force
Yeah.
where you don't look at it only as something, in a sense, it's not basically money is not providing for your entire life or lifestyle at
Yeah.
that point, but it's enough to keep, for your own expenses
Yeah.
or for whatever you want, what your
Yeah.
choice may be.
Yeah. I think I realized very early on that money equals power. And I saw that in my house, as open minded as my family is. Money dictates a lot of the terms of the house and of the person's behavior. And for me, I think freedom meant having my own money because you are otherwise controlled by somebody. And that was my driver.
There are certain comments that are passed, certain things which are said, which you will have to let it slide. Everything
Yeah.
can't be fought out
Yeah.
at that point. And there are certain times, not certain, but more often than not, but stand up for yourself when it's needed.
Yeah.
Hear the other person out, but also get your point conveyed when it's required. And people do tend to assume that a lot of women in the room are not in important positions or that their voice doesn't matter. But I think we all realize how to navigate that eventually. I think trying to shy away from that doesn't really ever work. I agree it's double the effort that you put in when you walk into that boardroom as opposed to a man who walks in, because they already walk in a position of authority, even though they might not be there. It's simple things like the expectation is always on the women to make sure that, everyone is fed properly, there's enough tea or coffee in the room.
The pantry.
Yeah, those duties, you don't realize it, but
like the floor staff's job.
But it's the
who will
woman in the room that
who has
does
to
it.
basically communicate with them or give the instructions and do that.
Yeah.
And that happens very naturally. It's not that I'm not saying that people are going out of their way and kind of looking at you into doing it, but
Yeah.
it's the most natural instinct that kind of
Yeah.
kicks in at that point.
It's true.
People who take it offensively if you tell someone who's a man to do it, because then they look at you with the am I supposed to do this, and you're like, yes, you are. If I'm supposed to do it, so are you. Everyone has to do this.
I actually have a little bit of a, so because I work in corporate, I will say
Yeah.
that sometimes we tend to have like gender balance as like a tick box that a lot of corporates want to do. Like, okay, do we have a gender balance? I will not deny that there are some professions that women thrive better in. So my marketing heads are mostly women, or finance sometimes will be a little bit from a mid-management perspective will be women. Sales, you will not see a lot of women. Frontline sales, you will not see a lot of women. IT, maybe more like she said, at boardroom senior level positions, while your mid-management, maybe women, all the leaders are
In
mostly
finance,
men.
you'll see a lot of
Like for
finance will
us,
be full of men in general. There's very few women in that.
you will
space.
barely see that. Like because of people management, I come from a space where it's very female dominated, almost to the opposite extent where we want to hire men.
Yeah.
But I think I will say that I'm probably one of those that I don't want to shy away from because of the work field that I work in also. I'm not here to shy away about what a woman brings to the table. So what she said in terms of empathy, nurturing, softness, those are skills that are needed for certain jobs or professions that do come naturally. So when you are dealing with a bunch of people, I'll probably say in people management, I've seen women really thrive because it comes with a certain amount of skill set that does come biologically a lot more naturally to women to take care of a lot. There are things that men may not think of in that boardroom when we are putting people in certain positions. How will they balance? What will it look like for them at home? What are some of the underlying feelings when someone is coming to perform in a corporate world, right? And I think the idea that you need to come across as strong or in a particular way doesn't necessarily hold true in today's day and age, right? So women and men are equally rewarded. If you are like, I won't shy away from being emotional at work if I'm letting someone go. It's a part of who I am as a person, as a woman, and why not? So I think that we're evolving a lot to see that. But definitely some, like Ashni said, some boardrooms are going to be male dominated, and you do
Yeah.
change your personality to a certain extent that they
Yeah.
hear you in that room. But I'd like to think that's changing.
What's the one thing that you wish you had done in your 20s that you think could have helped you in your 30s?
Oh, good question.
Or the one thing you wish you had not done in your 20s, which you think has affected you in your 30s?
One thing I wouldn't have done. I think actually what I would have done a lot more is stand up for myself a lot more. I
I think
think
that's my answer as well.
very, 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 it's very easy to be a little bit more timid, to be
Yeah.
like, I don't know what, like we're very unsure of what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Am I worth, I have never, and I have always shied away from asking for a raise. I have always shied away. Money conversations have always made me awkward. When
Are
I
you shy of
am,
money conversations?
or asking
Not
for a raise.
entirely, no.
Yeah.
I think
Good-
it's
a good thing. It's a good thing.
In that sense.
That's a good thing. The lawyer in her has like.
No, I think that's just the reality of where you're around. Also, I feel like what not a lot of people tell you when you're younger is just basically working towards learning a new skill set. It's great to be in the profession that you
Yeah.
are, but it's always nicer to have, something on the side. And by skill set, it can be something in a sense that also helps you monetarily, but also it could just be a great hobby.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're younger, what everyone keeps telling you is focus on work, and get that done. And
Yeah.
we've done it, and it has paid off. There's no denying that to a large extent. But I feel like the older you get, you also find the need to want, even if you have the time, if you had that additional skill set, it's something that can help you in a lot of other ways, basically. And I think you need that, though,
Yeah.
in general.
One of the things we've been talking about, three of us have been talking independently with each other about this, is slowing down. And when we say slowing down, we mean, maybe prioritizing ourselves, self-care, mental health, emotional health, family, relationships. That's something that I think, I don't think we neglected in our 20s. It's just that we didn't put in that much energy and effort into it.
Yeah.
Do you think that this period of wanting to slow down is an earned period? Or do you think it's burnout? I question it all the time.
So it's hard to define burnout because it varies from individual to individual. The amount you may be able to cope with may be very different from, say, what Shifa may be able to cope with or I may be able to cope with. And I think everyone, with age, you also realize what your priorities are. So it's not that you stop chasing success, but it may change where you know that it's okay if I don't get it in X period, and you're okay to kind of be like, I will take things a little slowly because I will achieve it, say if not in 3 years, in 5 years. And I think that acceptance comes to a lot of people otherwise. For others, it doesn't matter that, they will strive. They will be like, forget the 3 year, I'll do it in 2 years.
Yeah.
If, that's what it comes down to, because a lot of people believe that once you cross certain thresholds, things do get easier for people. So they're like, you can slow down then, you can take life as it comes at that point.
Yeah.
Do you think you've reached that point?
No, not yet.
Do you think you reached that?
I'm going to say a couple of things. I think one, when you say burnout, there's a really fine line between, first, I think everyone's ambitions are different.
Yeah.
And I think we need to learn to respect that. I think all of us want certain things till you get it. And when you get it, you start questioning, do I really want this? I really wanted a certain career.
It's also one, do I really want it and what's next?
Yeah, and you're always chasing, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm tired of this chase. Like, okay, this designation.
There's never
this,
just that one position you want to be at and kind of
feel satisfied. Yeah,
it's
over
also
there.
the want for the greed, I would say, for
the
something
greed,
a lot more than that.
But I do think that, I think especially when you see the type of people who've got the dream jobs, right, that I would have wanted, say, in my 20s. I don't know if I want that life. I don't know if I want to be on call 24/7. I don't know if I necessarily want to live on a plane all the time. I don't know if I want to see my family once a year. I don't know if I'm going to find it really difficult to get a meal once a week with a friend. Like, I don't know if I want that. So I think it's about what your priorities are, for sure. What I'm chasing is not just success. It's what am I bringing and adding value to. I can work as a consultant without a designation and still bring great value and have a lot of peace.
Right.
And I think for me, when you say, what are you chasing? I think I'm chasing just peace, what makes me happy in terms of career and personal life. Now, that is different for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think you're also talking to two people who would like to also have a very vibrant personal life as well. So, and I think that's very fair to say for everyone. So,
Right. Life is not just your work.
Yeah,
There's so much
absolutely.
more to life.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
And the difference is also not about what you immediately want. So I feel like your 20s were very different because, say, a lot of people, you were studying, a lot of people around you were studying, or you had just gotten into, whichever profession you were working in. Your 30s is where I feel like there's a little more certainty in the sense of, at least there's some sense of direction where you kind of, maybe if you're not there, at least you know where you want to get.
Yeah.
I feel like this is also the time to sort of reflect on what you want to in the future. Because we're still at that point where we can push ourselves, we can get things done. But it's also, you start questioning yourself on, is this what I want when I'm 50?
Yeah.
You know, is this, how long is,
You're
am I
saying
good?
50, I'm questioning if
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what you're 40,
Yeah.
But these are questions that pop up now, which you
Yeah.
kind of didn't consider at all when you were younger.
Yeah.
So I think you started planning your future, or you want your career to move in a path where it aligns with the goals that you're kind of looking forward to after a couple of years as well. So it's
Yeah.
not just what you want immediately, right?
Yeah.
And also, what does success look like for you? Like, you
Yeah.
want to wake up at 7 and do a great run and get great dinner. That's a successful day for someone. Great. And there are many days that I'm like, I want that.
And there's also a major
you
shift
know.
that you see now where a lot of, even post-COVID, where a lot of people are accepting that they're okay taking a pay cut if that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the sense they don't want the hustle to the extent it was.
Yeah.
They want more defined
Yeah.
working hours. So I think everyone's taking a call at a more personal level, depending on their given situation, their responsibilities. It changes a lot,
Yeah,
right?
But I want to know where you guys are at. I want to know where do you think you reach right now? What's your situation like, and where do you want to be at 40?
I think interestingly,
Be candid. We can have it out.
No, I think interestingly, when you've said that, I would probably say from personal experience, there was a very big part of me, because I studied in America for my undergrad, and there was a very big part of me in my 20s that thought I want to go abroad and I want to do like 5 years in New York or London, make bank, climb that ladder, and then potentially look at it. And I think if that opportunity was given to me now in my, say, like in my 30s, I don't know if I would really take that. Like, I'm happy to be at home. I'm happy to have that routine at home, happy to spend time with friends and family. I think, like I said, I think what you think you want in your 20s drastically changes in your 30s once that's offered to you.
Yeah.
I want the flexibility to be able to take a step back when I want to in my career, or like accelerate it if and when I want to. So, I think that's the stage I'm at currently, to say, what does success look like to me? Do I want to reflect back on a year to be like, nothing really changed? No. I think for me, if I've moved the needle in some way, if I've seen progress in any way, it's a new skill, if it's a new opportunity, it's a new project, it's whatever, a new friend circle that I've made, a new hobby, it's a successful year for me.
So success is beyond work for you.
It's, I mean, work is, I would say, 30% of what defines me.
Wow, that's a long way that you've come.
For sure.
I think that realization sort of kicks in once you start working, where you can push through all of those years, but also you realize that work doesn't need to necessarily define you. There's so much more to life other than that. And I feel like the older you get, you're kind of trying to find space and time for those things. So in a sense, you don't want all your life decisions simply to be driven because of work and clients, which does happen to a large extent. You can't negate it on a lot of days. There are things that you can't change otherwise. But even if you have control of, to a certain to a large aspect, I would say, on how your weekend is going to look, or if you certainly will make it to a plan that you make, I think those are the kind of certainties you kind of look to have at this point.
Without checking your phone all the time. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the massive pivot that's happened in the world, and I think AI is something that everyone is excited and scared about equally. I'm on both ends of this. What has that looked like? How has AI shaped up for you so far? What's your approach towards it? Do you think that your jobs are replaceable in the near future? How are you perceiving this?
So I believe, from what we've seen, we've tried out a couple of AI platforms, etc. and all. I don't believe all our jobs are replaceable to a large extent. There are a lot of positives as well, where it will help speeden up your work. I feel like when it comes to replacing, it could replace a lot of people at a more junior level otherwise, because it's essentially helping you in tasks that you would typically otherwise have someone who's fresh out of college or a year or two into the profession otherwise. But that's also something you need to be really mindful of, because those guys still need to go through those 2-3 years to get to a more senior position and take up those responsibilities otherwise. And also just using AI more responsibly.
What has learning been like for you? Does it feel overwhelming to still be like, starting from scratch? Because I feel that sometimes I think it's back to the drawing board.
I feel like in my profession, you're anyways constantly learning. You're always reading up. You have to keep yourself updated, because it's not one of those where I learned this at X point and it's done. Things change on a daily basis. So this, I feel like if you just take it on your stride as something you kind of now have to work with as well, it could have great results to that effect.
Yeah. But I think
you
AI
can't shy away from accepting that AI has come in a massive way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I think AI is, as cliche as it sounds, it's change is the only constant. And I mean, that's the same big wave they went through when I think the internet came about, and they could search on their fingertips. I come from a field where like it's replaced a lot of people management. So we now have bots having interviews, your resume screening, a lot of that has gone. So I would probably say more than 80% of the core job of people management has changed with AI. But do I think that ultimately, I think a human being, you need that touch in certain fields. That will never be replaceable.
That's true.
Human
you can't
error,
change how you can personalize it when a human does it.
Yeah.
As in, the prompts aren't just enough at this point.
And at some point, I think we're also human. It's always going to be, anything in extreme is never going to work. So just relying on AI without human beings is also, that's not the point of coming into work. We're never going to be, we are human beings who need each other's touch, feel, care. Why do we come into office after COVID?
Yeah.
You want to work. It's a collaborative environment.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing with human beings are, why are we different from machines? Because when we learn, we adapt, we pivot. That's what makes us also, that's really different, right? We can train them to be, or help us in skills that we will never be able to have. So
Yeah.
they do think, I'm not going to deny, like from a marketing lens, from a people management lens, even from a sales lens, of course we rely a lot on AI. And it's completely changed marketing campaigns. It's completely changed the kind of people you hire. I would not hire someone today who has not at least a base in AI, a certification. All of that has drastically changed. But when you say what you're learning, I think it's a great area to also get into in terms of learning huge business opportunities for people.
Yeah.
It's going to just depend on how you play with it and what you make of it.
As hard as it is to not continue talking about this, and I'm pretty sure once the cameras stop rolling, we're still continuing. But one last question I have. What's the one piece of advice you would give your 20-year-old self looking backwards?
I would probably say be a lot more confident and comfortable in your skin. I think young women are just,
We're just
so
thrown to the sharks.
underconfident about like how you look, where you end up, what your career needs to be, like how you have to have a work-life balance, what the perfect life needs to be. We have all these rules on what age, how, everything. I would just say be more confident and that you're not always replaceable at all. So own your skill, own the way you look, own what you bring to the table, and I'm sure you'll be valued in the right place.
Words of the wise.
Also, that filter the advice that you get. Basically, the world has 1,000 things they want to tell you, and society has even more rules which they want you to live with. But I mean, like Shifa said, just be a lot more confident and pick and choose the ones you want. There's nothing right or wrong about what you do.
Yeah. And you're more than your body, your career, how you are as a daughter, wife, girlfriend, whatever it is. You should just like be confident, live for yourself, and have a great life, guys. Earn money and spend it.
I also believe that being selfish is not a bad thing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah,
It's a,
because if you don't take care of yourself, who will?
Yeah.
yeah.
So yes,
I mean,
okay.
everyone's looking after their best interests, so why should you shy away from
Right,
that?
right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So on that note, thank you guys. We will stop rolling the camera. The conversation is going to continue.